Ladies and gentlemen, one thing you should know about me is that I am a shoes lover. I really love shoes. So you can imagine I'm not very enthusiastic about sharing my shoes with others. But due to my eagerness to connect with all of you, I want to invite you to take a short walk in my shoes. For those of you with sizes larger than 37, I apologize in advance for this. I was born a quarter of a century ago. I'm a middle child, born between two brothers. Samson, my 2-year senior, and my alarmingly look-alike, and David, my 6 years junior. Contrary to many people's beliefs that, as the only girl in the family, I grew up endlessly spoiled by my protective brothers and parents, I actually grew up in an environment filled with survival of the fittest experience. I had to fight to get my way. I was born and I was raised in a semi-liberal household, where my father was the authority and my mother was my friend. In my books, my mom is registered as the symbol of an ultimate woman who lives and loves for others. Nothing is dismissed in my mother's mind as unacceptable or useless before being given some consideration at first. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm like my father, competitive, perfectionist, and stubborn. My father, who was very strict on my brothers and I when we were growing up, probably to balance out my very liberal mother, actually taught me quite a number of good attributes. For example, my father taught me the importance of hard work, the value of social justice, the danger of being indifferent to wrongdoings just because they do not directly affect you. But above all, my father taught me the unbelievable freedom of being yourself. I have lost count of the number of times when I was really embarrassed, like embarrassed to my core by the sight of my father dancing notoriously in the car. But I really love him for his non-conformism. A largely significant part of my life is associated with one place, Nazareth School, where I schooled for 13 long years. I was a very good student in school, usually ranking amongst the top. And my high school life was also further decorated by this amazing opportunity I had of representing Ethiopian youth in what was then known as the Global Youth Parliament. So once upon a time, I used to represent all your interests. By joining the then mayor of Addis Ababa to major world conferences, I tried my hand at leadership and community service at an early age. So you can imagine I was the dream student. And of course that got to my head, and my ego was really inflated. And it didn't help that I scored the highest ECLBC scores in the whole of Addis for the social science stream. I was on cloud 9, but I was soon to accelerate down to rock bottom at a speed that is only possible to the legendary Hussein Bolt when I joined an international university in Germany for my bachelor's degree. Even though the teaching was in English, my mind and study habits, which were so used to memorizing and reproducing knowledge, could not cope up in an environment filled with critical thinking. I was really depressed. But I worked hard, I got used to the system, and I graduated with flying colors. But since then, I really value humility, and I really appreciate any experience that teaches me how much I do not know. After finishing my master's in public policy, I returned back to Ethiopia, and I now work as a program officer at the ILO Regional Office for Africa. When I'm not working day and night to please my very hard to please, very high standard boss, I'm a wife. With only 10 months experience, I am a novice in marriage. Trying to mingle with the neighbors, trying but failing to be taken seriously by Masera Kenya. Trying to memorize the names and faces of my 16, mind you not 16 brothers and sisters-in-laws. But that's a story for another day. I met my husband when I was doing field research for my master's thesis. And my father likes to joke that I wasn't researching, but I was searching. Guilty as charged. My husband, who is 13 years my senior, who's a lawyer, and with a totally different upbringing than mine, is one of the most supportive, rational, and intelligent people I know. So, ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, my life is filled with constant learning and unlearning, failures and victories, the former more frequent than the latter, but the latter making the former totally worth it. I am Makeda Getachew. I am a daughter, I am a sister, a wife, a friend, a Toastmaster, an avid believer of hard work and integrity, an imperfect perfectionist trying to be a better person every day. And it's really a great pleasure to meet you all. Thank you.
Our last but not least speaker for the afternoon will present his first speech titled My Timeline. He is a research officer at IFPRI, International Food Policy Research Institute, and it has been like 5 months since he joined Toastmaster, and he has been, of course, an active participant. Yes, I am a witness, especially on our last session. As a timer, he did a wonderful presentation, and those of you who attended the last session know what I'm talking about. He has one brother and one sister. He's the youngest in the family, and hopefully the wisest. He spent his leisure time by reading books and watching different movies. The time for his speech is 8 minutes, and he wants to see rated 8. I'm pleased to present TM Yohannes